Welcome back to the Platoon Baseball podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, the lovely Jesse Paul, and a special guest today, former Jamestown Jimmy, former Williston Coyote, and last but not least, the most depressed, the saddest Twins fan on the planet, Reed Hanson, everybody.
Thanks for having me, boys. Pleasure to be here.
Go
Thanks
read.
for thanks for joining us today.
Of course, of course.
All right, we're gonna do the first ever unedited special edition free agency episode. Get it out today for you guys before free agency starts this evening. Just gonna go over, we got 12 free agents that we think are the biggest free agents this offseason, and we'll just kind of go through them and give our predictions of where we think they end up.
Yep. Yeah, I think these 12 guys are the biggest names out there and will be the most impactful going into next year. So we can start us off if we're ready, guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so slotted in at number one, I think this is a no-brainer. Kyle Tucker.
I got the Dodgers. Um, the only dilemma I see with that is the left-handed heavy top of the order already. Um, but they have a left fielder position to fill, and you may have some concern with downfall of Mookie Betts' offensive production. So maybe adding in some more firepower. And the Dodgers are willing to spend the money. Not sure if other teams are going to be able to match.
Rito, go ahead.
I am going to go with their division rival, the San Francisco Giants.
Love
I
it.
think Buster Posey, he has been a great mind at the top of their baseball organization. He's been willing to make the big moves, make the big splashes. He went out and got Matt Chapman, went out and got Rafael Devers. Might as well go make another big move, try to overtake those Dodgers that you just mentioned there. They are willing to spend the money, but it's also how much money. They're already sitting at 350 million plus. So if they go and add a Kyle Tucker, they're adding another 40 to 50 million unless they just keep deferring all the payments to 2060. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. I like his fit on the Giants. They got the big right field section of the outfield. I think he'd be able to drive a lot of balls in that right center gap,
Yeah.
drive a lot of balls into the ocean. I think he'd plug in well in between those three, as well as shortstop. Um, why can't I think of Willie Adames?
Yep.
Those four at the top of the order, I think would be great. Uh, I think he's just a good fit. I like the Giants.
Love it.
I like that pick a lot. I don't think you're going to see that name or that team come up with his name a lot. So I like you going out there and picking that one. I'm going to go with the Phillies. I think they are right there. They're on the cups of being that team who can take down the Dodgers. Um, I think, as I'll get to later on, I don't think Kyle Schwarber will be on the team now that he's a free agent and they're going to need another left-handed bat. Uh, he provides better defense in the outfield, just makes them an all-around better team. I think he will end up as a Philly, looking like a big contract for Kyle Tucker this year. So,
For sure.
I like that thought because then, as you mentioned, better defense. Then you can slide Castellanos into that DH role that Schwarber was kind of filling up and get rid of his defensive cuckooiness.
yeah,
So
That's a good point.
I like that pick. That's a good pick. I like that.
yeah, that's a great point. I honestly, in my head, Castellanos, I could see on a different team too
Yeah.
during this offseason, but if for some reason they do stick with him, yeah, they can just slot him into the DH spot. So,
I think he'd be a great DH spot. He's a great hitter and then doesn't have to worry about attempting to
Yeah.
play defense.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
a great point.
All right.
All right, next one we got Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, what a weird career he's had so far. Um, I'm kind of strong in the opinion that the Yankees won't re-sign him. I think they're just committed to giving the younger guys time in that field, that being Dominguez and Spencer Jones. And then we have Trent Grisham to talk about later. But yeah, I think he moves on. I could see him going to the Mets. The only problem I have with that is the two lefties at the top of the order, but Cody Bellinger he does hit lefties uh, a lot better than you'd think. And then I also have the Giants too, similar to what Rito was mentioning with Cal Tucker. You have a good defender, versatile defender, and a lefty bat in the lefty uh, favoring ballpark.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I think the Mets have to go get a big name this offseason, and he kind of fits that bill. It's not who I have going to them, but I think that's a good solid option for them if they decide to go down that route.
Kind of off your point of the Dodgers willing to spend money. I mean, the Mets have been willing to spend a bunch of money in recent years too, trying to make that team. I mean, look at Juan Soto last year. So I like that pick as well. I think I am on the other side of that. I do think the Yankees re-sign him personally. I think he had a pretty good year with them. They overall had a better year than what I thought they were going to do with the lineup they put out there. But also, as you mentioned, like Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones, some of those other young guys are still able to be there and contribute. And then I think with that, able to kind of move on from Trent Grisham, as we'll get to later. I think that's where they would go differently is keep Bellinger and maybe move on from Grisham. So I have him staying with the Yankees.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Rito. That's exactly my thought process as well. I have him staying with the Yankees. Um, he really did slide in well to that lineup. Kind of, I know he didn't, fill that gap that Juan Soto was when he left. He's obviously not Juan Soto, but he played great throughout the year, and I think his dad was a Yankee. He won 3 World Series with the Yankees. It just makes sense for him to stick it out there and try and finish his career in pinstripes.
All right.
And then next on the list, we got Framber Valdez.
Cross him up, Framber Valdez.
This guy,
Uh,
bad
I've
guy.
got I've got the Orioles here. Um, with guys like that, good lefty. But guys, just the personality, maybe not fitting into some locker rooms. I think the Orioles are just so desperate, finishing last place in AL East last year. They are in desperate need of starting pitchers. I wouldn't be surprised if they go get two or three starting pitchers. And Framber Valdez is the biggest name out of all of them, so wouldn't be surprised if the Orioles make that move.
Yeah, I like that pick. Like you said, they need pitching in the worst way possible. I know they had a bad season compared to where we thought they were going to be. I think they can rebound just as easily. They still have a ton of potential in that lineup. Like you said, the rotation just needs to get deeper, and Valdez would be a good guy for that spot.
I agree. I like that pick. Um, that's initially kind of what I had thought right away. Kind of how Chris mentioned they didn't really live up to expectations last year, but you saw it from the year before. It's there. Like they really haven't moved that many pieces around. Like they've kind of got the same team. They just got a really young team that just didn't perform well last year, which happens when you got a lot of young guys on a team like that. And then with the starting pitching depth, I think Framber Valdez would definitely add to that. I think he would be a great addition. But then the personality complex of it would potentially make some issues. But I think that'll kind of come up in conversations. And then based on teams, they might get him on a cheaper deal. You never know. Um, and then from that, I think what I'm going to end up choosing, I'm going to move from the Orioles. I'm going to take the Mets here because they also are in need of some starting pitching. And I think they could maybe get him on a bit of a discount compared to what his numbers are, just based on the on the field slash off the field issues in the same sense. So I'm going to take the New York Mets here. I think they go make a move for some starting pitching as well.
Yeah, I
Nice.
like that pick as well. I think you could say any team here, and I could see them
Hmm.
going to get it. And
Yeah.
everybody loves to have a number one or two guy slotted in, and the teams who can afford it, they're gonna go throw offers to him. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
like the Mets there too.
Yeah.
And then for me, I'm going the Red Sox.
Oh,
So I've heard in the
Oh,
recent
power
days
left.
with the Tigers open to trading Scooble, I've seen Boston's name pop up, and I would hate to see the Red Sox dump one of their top young guys for Scooble and then not re-sign him when the time comes, or even just get rid of that some of these core young guys they have now. I think they will be in a much better position if they can keep all of those guys and go get a guy like Valdez, who isn't obviously Scooble, but still a strong starter in the game today. So
I mean, he was really good for like 3 years. Like this year had a little bit of a down year, but he still has his stretches where he's a really, really good left-handed starter.
yeah.
I mean, I don't hate that pick either. I like that. Dot Red Sox are kind of in that mode too, where they have the young talent, but they also have the older guys where they're kind of looking to make some moves. So I like that pick as well.
Yeah.
cool. All right. Next one hits home for Jesse a little bit more. Bo Bichette.
Yeah, let's make this one short and easy. Re-signs to the Blue Jays. He's been quoted so many times saying he wants to stay here. Great season. I think he likes Schneider. He came through the minors with Schneider, as well as Vlad. They've just been together their whole career. I just don't see him signing to another team, and I would hate if he did. So
Before Reed says anything, I don't know if he's smiling because you were smiling or if he's about to do what I think he's gonna do.
please
I
don't
was
do it.
I was more smiling because of Jesse just fangirling over Bo Bichette as he should.
Yeah,
Um, First, I think the Blue Jays are crazy if they don't sign, at least put in like a valiant effort to sign him back,
they
just based on the World Series performance on a one working knee alone. I mean, he was their best offensive bat in the World Series. I mean, like he, I don't know. That's just the big thing for me in the offseason is like, what does he look like next year coming off of this knee injury? Like that's my bit is like you could potentially get him on a bit of a discount now because what does he look like in 5 months when the season starts again? Um, I just don't know. This pick is tough for me. I am gonna go away from the Blue Jays. I'm gonna say the San Diego Padres.
Oh,
that
Jesse mentioned that
that
earlier.
is
So
Yep,
that is my favorite destination other than the Blue Jays for Bichette. And I will
yep.
say, I don't think the knee injury is going to be a problem. They rushed him back, and he looked good in the World Series. I think after an offseason, he'll be fine. But the other thing is, I do think if the Blue Jays re-signed him, he would be a second baseman, and they would have Jimenez play short.
I don't hate that.
agreed.
I think he fits in much better at second base, to be honest. Just defensive wise. Speaking from experience, it's much easier position.
So does he play second with the Padres as well then?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think Xander flips over to short as if he hasn't already been there. I know he's played a bit of second base there as well, but
yeah,
I think he would probably be short and put Bo at second base.
yeah. I like that
Yep.
pick.
I like that pick too. I'm super glad you didn't say the Yankees, even though it's sitting in the back of my mind.
Ah,
Boo.
I think I think they're gonna make a like the word I'll use the word you used earlier, Rito, valiant effort in trying to get him, but we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I have him staying with the Blue Jays as well. So I don't see a reason why that partnership needs to end. If they can slot him over at second, that he's going to be able to focus more on hitting, which he started. I mean, look at the year he had this year; was just incredible when he was healthy.
mm,
So I don't see a reason why he's not back in the Blue Jays uniform
I
at
mean,
the start of next year.
Love it.
he would have led the league in hits if he would have stayed healthy that last month.
Yeah.
And
He only
it's
missed
not
by a
like
few hits.
he's a Luis Arias whose average is 330 and then his slugging is 400. Like his slugging is also 500, 600. So he's OPS is right around that 800, 900. I mean,
Yeah, I think he gets. I think it's in the 700s even. He does.
Yeah.
He has the. He does have the double potential.
Yeah. Yep.
He's only going to get 15 homers a year, but he does hit quite a few doubles.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
I would agree.
So good deal. Well, the next guy on the list is someone that we mentioned earlier, Kyle Schwarber.
This is a fun one.
Hmm.
Just a guy who's going to get a shorter term deal just because of his age. He's still going to get paid, obviously, being in like the MVP conversation this year. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say the Cubs. A reunion with the Cubs. I think that him being a DH only at this point in his career makes it hard for some teams to slot him in. The Yankees can't really do it with Stanton. The obviously d- we've been talking about Dodgers signing everyone. I don't think they can do that. And I don't think the Cubs are going to have the money to re-sign Tucker, and I think this is their second best option.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the I'd love to see him back in a Cubs uniform. I mean, it takes you back to that historic World Series run they had, and some of the guys they had. A lot of those guys not some of them not even in the league anymore. Rizzo's officially out. Chris Bryant doesn't hit the field much, so and Schwarber's still doing it. So
Yeah.
it's fun to see him succeed still, and he's just a fun guy to root for. And the Cubs are a fun team to root for too. So it'd be a great partnership.
I have said for many years he is my favorite player to watch hit home runs. I mean, it's his swing, the ball just launches. You saw it last year in San Diego when he hit a ball into the upper deck. I mean, this year he put a ball out of Dodger Stadium. It's unbelievable how far he can hit those baseballs. But I'm going to go with a different reunion. I'm sending him back to Boston for the Red Sox,
Wow.
back to Fenway. He was on that team that took a deep run a few years ago, and I think they end up reunion having a reunion out there and kind of trying to help that team with the veteran presence, try to bring them back to a long postseason run that they've been desperately searching for recently. So I'm gonna go with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I like that pick too. I mean, you look back to that 2021 season when he was on the team and they made it to the ALCS against the Astros.
Hmm.
He's just such a core guy. Like he has a way to be a leader that I haven't seen a lot of
Hmm.
guys do. And he had that team going. I was very nervous that the Red Sox were going to come back and win that series. So I think that would be a good fit for him as well. I ultimately have him going to the Reds. I think he
Mm.
will head back to where he started his baseball journey growing up, playing in Ohio. And the Reds are such a fun and upcoming team as well. And I think he slots into that lineup where he can give some of those guys at the top of the order um, some leeway so he can drive them in and they don't have to stress about finding a good 4 or 5 hole hitter. So I got the Reds.
Love that one.
It's an interesting pick too, because they did sneak into the playoffs here. They're looking to continue that with Tito over there managing the team and continuing to look for more deeper postseason runs with their younger guys coming up and making more impact and bringing that veteran presence. You never know what that can do for a team. I mean, being a leader like that, even as just a DH, but just in the dugout constantly cheering on guys, that I think that'd be a pretty good fit too.
Yeah. And it's such a hitter's ballpark too that I
Hmm.
think he could produce just like he did this year. So it'd be a fun one to see.
Yeah.
After that, we have Dylan Cease.
Chris, why don't you lead it off? Because I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this one.
I think you are absolutely correct. I believe Dylan Cease is going to be an Astro. They fought really hard at the end of the trade deadline to get him. Ultimately, they couldn't get a deal done, but with the potential loss of Framber Valdez and some of the injuries the Astros continue to have in their rotation, I think he slides in as a solid lefty who still has a ton of potential left in his career. I know he had a slower year this year, and since he's kind of joined the Padres, but I think with in the right situation, he can get back on track, and I believe that's with the Astros.
What do you think, Rito?
What was I just thinking? Um, I think this is going to be a team that had a really down year compared to what we had gotten used to in the previous 4 or 5 seasons. I am going to go with the Atlanta Braves. I think they had a very down year, mostly because injuries again. They just seem to be one of the more injury plagued teams around the MLB recently, but I think they're set for a good bounce back. They got a new manager coming in after parting ways with Brian Snitker, and I think they're looking to make a big bounce back here, make a big splash in the off season, and try to get some guys to get back to where they were when they were making playoff runs and even winning a World Series back in 2021 against Chris's loved Astros. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the Atlanta Braves here.
That's a good pick. I'm gonna go Cubs again. The Cubs drafted him in 2014, so maybe heads back there. They're just looking for more starting pitching after making the playoffs and giving up quite a bit of runs to the Brewers. I think starting pitching is definitely warranted place to spend your money for the Cubs.
I like that pick. I have a pitcher later on that kind of fits the same bill as Dylan, so I totally see where you're coming from there. All right, next on the list we have Munetaka Murakami.
What an interesting one. You never really know
Mhm.
what's going to happen with these international players. Not super familiar with him. We were talking about some crazy stats of him having some really bad underlying numbers, hitting .095 against pitches over 93 miles per hour, which is well below the MLB league average, and then like a 45% whiff rate against breaking balls. But he just slugs. Like Joey Gallo with subpar
Mhm.
defense. So it'll be interesting to see if what team's willing to spend some money on a pretty risky acquisition, I think, but a highly anticipated one. But ultimately, I think it's going to be the Dodgers. I think Muncy makes the move to second to fit him in at third, with Shohei DHing and Freddie Freeman playing first. So I think the Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick. I think it's easy
Mhm.
to go and say the Dodgers for a lot of these international guys. I'm assuming they have very good relationships with some of the other guys on the team, coming up through that system. Probably makes them an easy pick and probably I mean, we talk about how Dodgers end up with everybody, but I mean, this honestly sounds like possibly a really good fit too. So,
Mhm. Well, I mean, going back to the 2023 World Baseball Classic, he was one of their top offensive performers on a team with Shohei and Roki Sasaki and Yamamoto. And so, I mean, those guys are all in the same place right now. So I don't know what really makes you think that that couldn't happen. I mean, it's definitely an option, definitely I would say high potential that that happens. Just, I mean, based off of where those other guys went, almost solely because of where Shohei and the other guys were at already. So I think that's a good pick there. I am going to go with a different West Coast team here, and I am going to say the Seattle Mariners. They just were one game away from being in the World Series, and who knows if Eugenio Suarez is gonna stay around and you could go get a younger bat. I know it's not like Jesse said, not a surefire thing that he's going to be a high level performer in the MLB. But then again, if you get over here and start getting some experience, you never know what he could turn into. He had a really good World Baseball Classic and definitely could fit right in on that Seattle Mariners team that's already trying to make moves and get back to where they were this year at least. So Seattle Mariners for me.
yeah, that's a solid pick. I don't think Suarez will be back with the Mariners, so I think it's pretty easy to say that they're going to go and try and make this guy their main acquisition of the offseason, in my eyes. So, my pick, I'm going to go to the Mets. We talk about left-handed hitting and kind of that they don't need it necessarily, but could use it. Um, with the potential of maybe even Pete Alonso leaving, I've heard that Murakami could be slotted in over at first. And even with the third baseman that, say Alonso comes back, the third baseman that the Mets have, I think it's been Brett Beatty most of the time, hasn't really lived up to the hype that we really thought we were going to get with him. And I think he just slots in well to that lineup too. And he's going to be that guy that they go and get.
Don't hate that pick. Um, the one thing that I've noticed with a lot of the guys that come over is they, for some reason, like to stay almost on that West Coast. I wonder if partially it's easier to get home to where they're from, slash being able to have their family and friends and communities back home be able to watch. If that plays a factor, I'm not sure. But that's just one thing I've seen. But I don't hate that pick.
Y-
I,
For
I
the
think
mo
either I think either New York teams definitely have a chance. The only thing with the Yankees is they look to be sticking with Ryan McMahon, but he could also potentially make a move over to second base if needed. I feel like he's been there, or even moving Murakami somewhere. You never know.
Yeah, and I know the big thing is like it looks like these guys who come over from Japan just like to play on the West Coast. Like you said, it may be easier to get back
Mhm.
home. It's easier for family and friends to get over. But you look at even who the Mets have. They have Kodai Senga.
That is
In
true.
the past, the Yankees had Tanaka, Hideki Matsui. So there's history
Hmm.
of players getting over to New York too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, I mean, those are big hu travel hubs anyways, New York and LA. So I think either way,
Yeah.
for travel's okay. I do think it's a bit of a cultural thing though for um
Yeah.
the Japanese players to play on the West Coast just because it seems it's kind of the most similar thing to the home that we have in the US here. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if he ends up on the West Coast.
The only one that's ever surprised me is Yu Darvish when he signed with the Texas Rangers. I thought maybe we might seen some guys get spread around into some weird places, but that was kind of just a one-off, and he ultimately ended up he's on the West Coast now. So,
Right.
all
That's a good
right,
point.
covers Murakami. Let's slide down to one of my all-time favorites, Alex Bregman.
Do we all have him staying, the Red
Craigie.
Sox?
I do not.
No?
No.
Rito?
Re
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I it's
You want
it's
me to
kind
lead
of it's
us?
sure it's kind of between two teams, I think. Um, and one of them is with the Red Sox, like staying, or I think this other team.
Okay, let's see if you guys have
Um,
the same team.
yeah, Chris, if you want to lead off, go for it.
All right. I got Alex Bregman slotting in with the Tigers this year. Rito, is that your second team?
That is my other team that I'm
Okay,
thinking. I'm not
Gotcha.
sure. I think a lot of it, I think a lot of the Red Sox moves depend on if they do get Bregman back.
Yeah.
Um, because I had talked about Kyle Schwarber going back to the Red Sox. I we We're going to talk about Pete Alonso coming up. That's another name that's been floated around the Red Sox. They've been looking for a first baseman for what feels like forever. And I mean, Pete Alonso's name has been mentioned quite a bit of times. I just don't think they're going to open up the checkbook enough to get all three of those guys back. So I think it really comes down to what do they want. And if they do go out and get a Pete Alonso, then you can kind of slide Tristan Casas into that DH role, maybe try to keep Alex Bregman and then let those younger guys come up. And if they don't keep Bregman, if they don't go get Pete Alonso, then those younger guys just have more opportunities to come up and perform well for them. But I think I think I'm going to go with Chris here. I think he moves over to the Detroit Tigers after talking about it here. I think they're looking to make some moves as well. They were right in on the sweepstakes for him last year. I think they offered him more money, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I feel like they're going to be willing to do the same thing unless they have to completely break the bank to try to keep Scooble, which who knows if that's going to happen or not. I don't know. Guess we'll have to wait and find out, but I'm going to go with Chris and say the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I think just the familiarity with AJ Hinch leading that unit over there. He was with Alex for 3 or 4 years in Houston, so there's
Hmm.
a common ground there. And then just team. I mean, we talk about the Mariners being one game away from the World Series. The Tigers were one game away from the ALCS.
Hmm.
So I think they're right on the edge of making that next step. And a guy like Bregman, who's going to give you Gold Glove caliber play at third base while also putting out 25 home runs. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the 2019 Alex Bregman, where he hit 40 home runs and was a top three finalist for MVP. But he's still a solid guy who's going to hit in the top half of the order and just produce, produce, produce.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a stat. Kind of the reason I think he's gonna stay. Um, the Boston Red Sox led the league in errors last year,
Yep.
and I just think the stability at third base is just uh, a start at them maybe cleaning up the defense or continuing to try to do that. They had two Gold Glovers in the outfield, and then Bregman at third. So I just could see them trying to not let their defense falter any more than it already has.
I mean, I can definitely see him staying. Like it's to me right now, I feel like it's kind of a toss up. And I'm not. I feel like he wants more of that long-term contract, kind of like what he was looking for last year too. I feel like that's the bigger thing as to why he opted out was he's looking for more of that longer term without all the options, without the just like 3 or 4 year length in total. So I feel like it's going to kind of come down to which team is more willing to kind of take on that contract length itself, not so much the money because they both were already willing to pay him the money. So I could definitely see him going one of either of those two ways. So
Yep. All right. Let's go down to a guy I think all of us have the least amount of knowledge on history with. I'm gonna give it a whirl. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. Tatsuya Imai?
Yeah, Ime,
Ime?
Imai, not quite sure,
Not
but
not apologies if that was incorrect, but I have him going to the Cubs. They just lost didn't lose, but Shota is now a free agent and I don't know, kind of feels like a weird situation between those two right now and I don't know if they'll end up having that partnership still at the end of this thing. So I have him slotted in at the Cubs. From what I know about him, he has a high strikeout rate. A very solid pitcher over there. Maybe a tier under like a Yamamoto. And I think he just, the Cubs need pitching from what we saw throughout the year. They got a lot, they got injured. And the guys that they had there, maybe outside of Cade Horton and maybe another guy, weren't going to get the job done. So if they can get another guy of this guy's caliber, I think could put him in a good spot in the NL next year.
yeah, the
kind of
weird
back to
thing
the
about
Cubs needing pitching as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Go
weird
ahead,
thing
Jeff.
about this um Tatsuya is he is 27, so it's not like you're getting a super young pitcher, which is why his contract is probably going to be a little shorter.
Hmm.
But I have the Giants. We talked about that West Coast connection earlier. They really don't have anyone besides Logan Webb and Robbie Ray in the starting rotation that
Yep.
you want to see on your postseason rotation. So I think he would just slot in nicely there.
I also have him going to the San Francisco Giants. I just think that'd be a good fit. Like you said, they need pitching. Um, they've already shown interest in him, which I think kind of goes a long ways. But also back to the 27-year-old part, that kind of tends to be a lot of these international guys that end up coming over because they have to do the 6 years or whatever it is in the international leagues over there before they can even be posted to even have the option to come over here. Um, so I just kind of looked it up here. Murakami is 25 already, which kind of gives you a little more of that youth there, but it's also not like you're going out and getting a guy that's 19 or 20 that you can kind of develop a little more. Like it's more of a looking to slot him in now, looking for performance now. So it might put a little bit more pressure on these guys too, which could also kind of be an issue, which you kind of saw that with Yamamoto and with Roki Sasaki these last couple of years. Like their first few outings really aren't the greatest up until they get acclimated to the MLB and the kind of lifestyle over here in the US. So, but I also have him slotted in with the Giants, kind of increase some of that starting pitching depth, try to compete a little more out in the tough NL West.
Nice.
Yep. I like it. All right, Jesse, this one's for you. I got Ranger Suarez going to the Blue Jays. I think if they have a guy like this on the roster, an extra guy like this, not saying they don't already have guys like this, but this could be the difference in them winning the World Series or not. I think you have an extra starter that you can rely on or even bring in a late game situation. It means makes all the difference, and it feels like this is just the one piece that the Blue Jays could have used to finish off the job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I also have him going to the Blue Jays. They didn't have a left-handed starter for most of the season. They had Eric Lauer come in um, to start, and then he kind of ended up as a bulk arm out of the bullpen. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a left-hander with some velo. That's kind of another thing they've been lacking. It's mostly command pitchers with some good breaking balls. So, yeah, I think it would be a good fit as well.
I like that pick from you guys. I am going to go a little different direction here. We kind of talked about this team a little earlier. So circling back to their starting pitching needs, I'm going to go with the Blue Jays division rival Baltimore Orioles. I think we kind of touched on it earlier, how they could use some pitching, looking to make it back in the postseason, making a good run. And I think this guy could give them some of that lead on that starting pitching end, trying to give them some innings, get them some outs, get them some wins throughout the year and as well as in the postseason. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles on that one.
Yeah, talking about the Orioles for a second, they had such a bad start to the year, but in the second half, they were not, they were
Mhm.
above 500 for the rest of the season. So I think a few starting pitchers, and I think they're back in playoff contention. And man, looking at AL East next year, it's not going to be fun. I think Tampa might finish last. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's going to be a absolute gauntlet.
Going to be a dogfight for sure. I mean, all of those teams are good. The Rays just always find a way to be relevant, anyways. I mean, they may not be a above 500 team just based on the fact of the teams they have to play in their division, but they're going to be competitive. They're going to be tough. They're not just going to be a rollover easy win every time you play them. So that's another one. Even if they are the fifth best team in the AL East, they're still a darn good team. So
Yeah.
that division's going to be real fun and real tough next year. So
Yeah, I like it. All right, next on the list is Pete Alonso.
Uh, I think he'll stay with the Mets. I think it's a good pair with Soto. You got the lefty and righty, and yeah, that's about it. I think it's been a good fit, and I just don't see him going anywhere else.
Agreed. I have him staying with the Mets as well. I don't think anything else other than what you said needs to be said. He's been a Met. It's obviously worked out. He's been great for them. So,
I would also agree. I think he's going to stay. If you would have asked me before the trade deadline this year, I would have said for sure he was going to be a Minnesota Twin after this offseason. But after they just sold the entire team away without actually selling the team as the owners, that's a different conversation we can have. But yeah, I'm going to say that he stays with the Mets.
Yeah, the Twins is a weird one because they have so much money to spend. They always seem to go get like one sneaky guy. Like a few years back, I remember they got like Nelson Cruz, and everyone was like, "Holy
Mhm.
shit, this is fun." And I could see him doing something like that after such a disappointing season. So that would be really cool.
I don't think it happens now. Like I don't see a reason for them to go get a guy like that after what they did at the trade deadline last year. Like
Yeah,
I just would rather they not go out and just put money into a guy that's going to lead to five extra wins on the season, if that. I mean, there's just no point. But if they would have not, if they would have been somewhat competitive this year and not sold away all of their good players, then it's a different conversation. You know, you never know. Maybe they are a Pete Alonso away from winning the AL Central and making a playoff run, but I think the Mets definitely go and keep him. I think he's a big piece of their offense, big piece of their defense, and just team in general. So I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Twins are in need of a first baseman. They've had Cody Clemens play first base for a lot of the year, and he can play other
Twins are
positions, but
Twins are in need of every position except for center field. So I don't
that's true.
really know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I just I always think about the fans when you have a team that sells at the deadline. Like you still have to get fans to the game. So I could see him signing. They're gonna sign someone, whether it's Suarez or Pete Alonso. I think it'd be cool, but
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm with you,
That's
Rito.
a different conversation.
I don't see the point in signing a name like that. It just seems like a waste of
Exact
resources
waste.
and
I feel like it's a waste on the player too. Like if you're Pete
yeah.
Alonso, he's looking to go win. Like, why
yeah.
go to a team that's going to go out and potentially not even hit 70 wins next year? Like I don't know. That's
Well,
just my soapbox on the Twins. I don't know.
Yeah.
well,
They're a mess.
going back to team, I mean, players, I mean, not necessarily looking to win all the time. Like we have guys who just want to catch a bag and call it a career. So,
That is true.
well, I think that's when those weird deals kind of happen where it's like, oh, this team isn't competing, but this somewhat, this player who can compete and be um, a good asset to a contending team ends up on a team like the Twins. So you never know what's going to happen in a situation like that.
It's a fair point. And
Um,
like Jesse said, they have the money to spend now, especially after just dumping their payroll. I mean, I don't the Carlos Correa trade is really just in the back of my mind right now, and them just handing the Astros Carlos Correa and a $50 million check and saying, "Yeah, I'll just take a Subway sandwich in return. That's fine." But
Appreciate it.
you're
Thanks.
so welcome.
Thanks, Minnesota. All right, let's move on to the last one. Last but not least, Trent Grisham.
Yeah, I mentioned before we were talking about Bellinger. I think the outfield is too congested with younger players. Um, Dominguez, Spencer Jones, and I think they keep Trent Grisham. He had a real breakout season last year. His defense is an issue, but the Yankees sure love guys who can't play defense, it seems like. So I think I think Trent Grisham will stay.
Yeah, I think that's a
I
fair
don't.
pick. There's no reason the Yankees should let him go. I think he fits that build well still. He fits that team well. So I like that pick.
I'm gonna go with kind of a kind of off-ball pick here. I am going to take the Kansas City Royals. Um,
Nice.
just as a kind of a weird landing spot for a veteran guy who could kind of help some of those younger guys. I don't know. Trent Grisham's a weird one for me. He could go one of probably 15 teams this offseason, and you could make an argument for why any of them would be able to use him or need him in any certain way. So I'm just going to end on the Royals here. We'll see what happens, but I have no idea.
I like
I
it.
like, yeah, I like the you never know what happens with players like this. I'm gonna
Mhm.
end on a pick that benefits me. I want him on the Astros, so I'm going Astros. I think we need the help with the left-handed hitting in the outfield. Losing Tucker last year, it was pretty evident in the lineup. Like, hey, we're missing this, especially when Jordan's hurt for more than half the year.
Mhm.
So, um, it doesn't seem like a guy you'd have to spend a ton of money to go get, and it feels like he could be a good spot. I don't know if once you play in a Yankee locker room, if you ever want to end up on the Astros after that. So I don't know if that plays a factor or not, but um, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'd really like him to come join the Astros, so that's my prediction there.
Yeah.
I think that's a good landing spot, honestly. Kind of like you said, the Astros could use some of that outfield left-handed hitting, just kind of help a little bit around Jordan and Jeremy Pena up at the top there. And the Astros are another team. They got a little bit of money to spend. They don't really have got the Twins footing the bill for Carlos Correa next year too, so not paying him diddly squat.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got the money from that to go get somebody kind of like you said, who's probably not going to break the bank and still be able to help you out. So I don't hate that pick.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. You have Jake Myers playing there now and uh McCormick gone, so I don't mind it.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
I
well,
like it.
good segment there. I do have one last thing for you guys. I came up with a little blockbuster trade that I think is going to happen this offseason.
Oh boy.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys have any on your brain off the top of your head, but mine is the Philadelphia Phillies, as well as signing Kyle Tucker, will acquire catcher Adley Rutschman from the Baltimore Orioles.
What?
I think
you used to.
JT, I think JT is going to end up on a different team. I don't know if he fits the
Hmm.
bill anymore for them. And I think they're going to go try. I think the Phillies are going to go all in and try and make this the year. So that's my prediction.
My only argument to that is what do the Phillies have? Like, do they have enough in return to be able to afford an Adley Rutschman from the Orioles?
And my argument to that would be, I don't know. I don't have a good reason for prospects and who would be a part of that. My only inkling is in the last year and a half, Adley's numbers have started to decline a little bit. And with the upbringing of Samuel Basallo, who they just signed to a long-term deal as well, that they may try and get away from him. But that's just that's my crazy blockbuster trade of the offseason. So.
That's like your Luis Arias World Series MVP for the Houston Astros pick a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
I, I
the outside of the box thinking on these. It makes it fun.
I'd like it to be known Luis was traded and
Yeah.
almost made it to the World Series.
Just not for the Astros.
Just not for the
But
Astros.
but
But
yes, it was looking really close. It was kind of funny how close it was to actually
yeah,
happening.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't imagine Real Muto on a different team for the rest of his career. And he's been on the decline for I don't know the last 4 years now, but he's still hitting about league average and good defense. So I think he'll stay with Philly, but
I would agree with that, but it all you never know. You
yeah,
never know these days.
never know.
Why would you need to keep
So
JT when you're trading for Adley Rutschman?
Yeah, that's a good point.
fair
That's a
point.
good point.
Fair point.
But if you, unless you guys have any like fun trades you want to see happening this year, we can get out of here.
Not off
No,
the top of my head. I'd have to do a little research, other than maybe just
Okay.
the weird talks of Scooble going somewhere, but I think it's a different conversation. That's one that's actually highly potential.
I
But
would love to
just
see
because
Skeens or Scooble get traded, but that's gonna take a lot to happen.
To
Skeens is
be
another one, I guess. Yeah.
to be honest, I don't want it. Like the Tigers feel like they're there. I'd hate to see them give up on
I
Scooble now, but if they're
I
not going to
don't.
have the money to re-sign him, then I agree. You have to get rid of him and acquire some talent. But I'd hate to see it,
I don't
honestly.
think they're there. I think that they overperformed in a poor division. I mean, you saw the collapse at the end of the year. I know they won the playoff wild card, but I mean, we're also not talking about the Guardians going and signing all these guys either. I just don't see Detroit as really there. That division is a mess, but
It always is a mess.
yeah, I think the Royals will have a better season next year, and I don't think Detroit or
I think that's a team who kind of underperformed for what they had. I think the Royals are looking to have a much better season next year too. And probably they probably do end up making a couple moves this offseason just for some of those kind of mid-tier guys just to try to help some of the depth, help some of the overall roster lineup and everything. And I agree. I think the Royals are looking to have a better year next year. And who knows what the Tigers and Guardians will look like. Um, whether or not that Scooble trade happens or whether or not they make the big splash offseason moves, you never know.
yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. All right. Well, this was another edition, the first non-edited Platoon Baseball podcast. So this should be hopefully dropping today and
Yep.
beat some of the signings if they are to take place tonight. So
Yep. And we'll try to do some weekly updates on signings. We'll try to do some fun ones in the off season just because there's not a lot of baseball to talk about. Maybe talk about some like stadium quirks or movies and fun things like that.
and you'll see Rito's face again too. So
Well, you won't see it, but you'll hear the voice.
you'll hear Rito's voice again soon.
I don't know. I don't know which one is worse, to be honest.
You got a face for radio, buddy. That's all.
Video
Thank you.
killed the
Thank you.
radio star,
Yeah.
Reed Hanson.
But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. See you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how going?